What's up, bitches? Welcome to the Listen Bitch podcast with your host, Brandon Lynette. This is your go-to destination for unlocking your full potential, embracing the extraordinary possibility within you. And I just want to thank you guys today for joining me on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment as we explore the transformative power of stepping into greatness. It is time for you to come into alignment with the God-given power, the gifts that you've been given. It is time to unleash your soul and learn to co-create a life that you love. As you become a creator of your own destiny, here you're going to find the inspiration, the practical tips, and sometimes an abrasive nudge to take the leap of faith towards your dreams. You are in the right place. So buckle up so we can unleash your inner badass. I know I just came off of a little hiatus. I did some rerouting of my brain, I guess. I just had to recalibrate a little bit and get focused back on the core um belief of why I'm doing this, why I'm showing up on the podcast, why I'm showing up for myself, kind of recalibrating my why. I've been through, a lot of changes in the past few weeks, and this is probably the, most peace and joy I've felt throughout the experience. And I take everything in my life. I'm kind of a bit of a rebel. So I take everything with a little bit of a fight. Okay. So I fought myself a little bit on this and focused more on what I felt like I was losing rather than what I was gaining. So it's okay when you're going through it to fucking go through it. It's okay, you know? I think that gave me that chance to be able to compare the perspectives. And that's what life comes down to. It's a perspective. Um, but I love the vibration that my family is on. I love the energy. God has definitely wrapped us up in his arms. And this is just, it's a beautiful feeling, even through the bullshit. And there's still bullshit, you guys. Everybody's in the arena. You're getting your ass kicked. So it's not like all of a sudden, the life I've dreamed of is here and everything is perfect. No, there's still shit to work through. So as much as you're hoping, there's just some place you get to, some point in life that you're just like, ah, this is it. I mean, it, shit's going to still come at you. Okay. Life happens. I am excited. I've been doing some interviews. So we're going to start bringing some guests on the podcast. Um, I'm excited about that. You guys know it is Monday. We're going to talk about microdosing. When I talk about microdosing, if you're new here, and I do have a lot of new subscribers, I saw the numbers jump up this week. And part of that is probably, people scoping out the podcast to see if it's worth if I'm at a standard for them to come on as a guest speaker. So you guys, if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you're following me on the socials. TikTok's a little squirrely for me lately. I've been posting once or twice there. Twice usually I get on there. But that was my big place. But now I'm just like, are they canceling it? Are they not canceling it? I don't know. So it made me question my commitment a little bit. But where I am the most active is definitely going to be Facebook. So if you guys have any questions, you want to reach out. If you're like, I love this idea of microdosing, tune in there. But every Monday we talk about microdosing. Most Mondays. I won't say every because that's pretty dramatic. There's times I've missed it. Microdosing psilocybin. This is that magic mushroom that, your parents probably took in the 60s to trip balls. That's not what we do here. Okay. I don't use this as a drug to get high. It is a very intentional experience for me, meaning I take a tiny, minuscule amount, tiny. Okay. Like you can't even tell you're taking it until all of a sudden you're noticing that you're not stuck in the same pattern of behavior. You start noticing that your response is different, your feelings are different, your gratitude is different, your connection to the world feels different. Everything is different, but there is no, experience of feeling high or any kind of physical sensation for me other than I feel like there's a point after I take the capsule that I feel like it's a warm hug. So if you guys are open to that at the end of the podcast, if you're like, yes, I need to have some psilocybin, go to brandonlynette.com and sign up for my emails and just, type out new thought pattern. Send that to me in a message and I'll know exactly what you're looking for. I know a guy. If you have a guy, I would say absolutely get started and I will coach you through the process. So even if you don't go through my guy, um, I will help you through the process. I've got some instructions printed out for you guys, and I update them as I learn and experience new things through the process. Um, but let's get into it. I think some of you are like, why would I microdose? Why would I need this? I really brought it into my life because my thought pattern was ridiculous. My, response was wild. I just felt out of control and anxiety was ruining my life. And that's what it does. It is here to hold you back from reaching your full potential in all the ways. So, anxiety really came through for me as a manifestation of the fear of failure. So I was afraid to take the risks. I wasn't pursuing ambitious goals. I was in a, pattern of self-sabotage. Um, and it's definitely going to make you hesitate to step outside of your comfort zone because there's always that fear that you're not going to measure up or expectations that we're going to be judged. Um, and being anxious, it definitely fueled a side of me that felt like everything had to be perfect because then I was setting up these impossibly high standards for myself. And you would think that when someone is trying to be a perfectionist, that they have their shit together, but it's actually my lowest time. The least amount of self-care that I could have ever practiced was happening in my life because we become so preoccupied with avoiding mistakes and seeking approval. There is no growth. There is no progress. And then you've got this issue of self-doubt. Anxiety, it steals our self-confidence and our self-esteem, just wears away at it day by day. And then we're doubting our abilities, we're doubting you know, our worth. We second guess who we are. We downplay our achievements. We underestimate our potential. And then here we are missing all of these opportunities for, personal and professional growth. We're just watching shit happen to other people thinking, oh, they must be lucky. They must know something I don't know, babe. We've all got the same shit. Okay. Um, Anxiety led to a lot of procrastination in my life. So, I'm struggling to cope with these overwhelming feelings. I'm carrying stress, uncertainty. I was delaying shit that mattered. And I was going for that temporary relief, trying to either eat my feelings, drink, alcohol was a huge factor in my life, very unhealthy relationship with that. And what I didn't see was that every time I was turning to alcohol, I was like increasing the anxiety because it's a vicious ass cycle. So you think in that moment that you're drinking that, all of a sudden your anxiety is gone, but you're going to wake up tomorrow with it 100 times in full effects. It makes it worse. Scientifically, it makes it worse. It does shit to your body. So, just being in that cycle, I had a lot of avoidant behaviors, withdrawing from a lot of situations completely. I, went through a period where I took my foot off the gas for a lot of things in my life. And part of that was due to, the age of my youngest and how I wanted to be present as a mom. But a lot of it too was because I was trying to avoid, the public speaking. I was avoiding social interactions. I was avoiding just even confronting my own shit. And so you can't really show up as an active participant, a co-creator of your life if you can't show up to anything. And this, self-talk, my anxiety had my self-talk maxed out. So I'm sitting here, criticizing myself, doubting myself, sabotaging myself. And then I internalize these beliefs. And then I have this self-fulfilling prophecy where I'm totally limited. I'm limited. I'm not good enough. There's nothing that's going to happen for me. And I just stay in this cycle of depression, sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix, eating shit food, and drowning my sorrows in alcohol. Okay. That was pretty much it, really. And I was a very reactive, very snappy at my kids, just not present. And a few years ago, I tried microdosing. It changed my relationship with alcohol, where I don't drink. It's not unless I don't need it. I was drinking for emotional dependency, but now, since I started microdosing, I can see my emotions without becoming them. And I think that's the most important thing. We are trying to suppress everything that we're feeling, and we just have to lean into it. It's like, I read this story the other day about this guy who he microdoses, and when he's been taking higher doses. Okay. So I guess he's macrodosing. He's taking higher doses. And there's a specific dose that he gets to where he's super fucking cold. Okay. Like his body's just cold. And him and his friend were going to get into an ice bath. And so he's terrified and he's internalizing this fear. Um, where he literally thinks he's walking to his death as he's getting in this ice bath. And he's not talking about this. This is the conversation in his head. He really thinks he's going to die. Um, and this is a macro dose, guys. This isn't microdose. So don't freak out. Don't think, oh, I'm going to just turn into a crazy person. I'm telling you this story because what happened after he got in the bath is he just literally said to himself, I am afraid. I'm afraid. And he leaned into that power of being afraid. And 30 seconds goes by and he's still fine. And he starts, becoming present in his body. He wasn't fighting the fear. He just let himself feel it in that moment. And once it was done, he was completely empowered because you realize, like, okay, I didn't die. This experience, opened up a whole different perspective for him when it came to facing his emotions. You do not need to do a macro dose to do this. Okay. Microdosing has done this for me where a reaction that I would normally have, just being very reactive, like all of a sudden it's like time has slowed down. Like, there is a movie that I bring up all the time because it is the best way I can describe how I feel. Um, and it's called Over the Hedge. Okay. And there's this spastic squirrel who has, like, he's a fucking spaz. I'll just say that. Okay. And that's me. That's my brain. It's crazy. There's a million tabs open and, 5 different people singing, and I'm still typing out something. Like, it's just so much. Okay. I fought that for a long time instead of just really truly leaning into that. And there's something in this movie that happens. They give him an energy drink. Okay. They give this hyper ass squirrel that drives everybody fucking crazy. It's running circles around everyone. They give him this energy drink, and all of a sudden he's in slow motion. I mean, like, everything is just slow motion, and he has all the time in the world to do the things that he needs to do. So look for that clip, okay? Over the Hedge, look for it. And I mean, that is me 100%. When I started microdosing, all of a sudden, everything is in slow motion and my brain has time to process things, okay? We end up being uh reactive. We're setting up this specific communication in our brain. And that's kind of why things feel like Groundhog Day, where you do the same thing over and over. You're in a situation and you react to it and you're like, I don't want to do that. Why do I keep reacting like that? It's because it's that programming in your brain. You've kind of taught yourself this is how we respond. And so it's autopilot. It is just something you do without even thinking anymore. Your brain thought this is what you needed, and this is how you wanted to react because you got all these dopamine hits, you got all this stuff, and shit was happening. Okay. So what happens when you start taking psilocybin is that you're creating new pathways in your brain. So new communications, and this is scientifically proven. You guys can do the research. Don't take my word for it. Where your brain starts creating new pathways of connection, new ways of communicating. It's gorgeous. It is a gorgeous thing to look at. The research, I mean, most of the time when I'm researching stuff like that, I'm bored out of my fucking mind. But watching the brain light up in different places and seeing new pathways happen, it's beautiful. And to know that every day I'm intentionally, not every day, but on my microdosing schedule, I'm creating that intentionally, like new ways to react. So all of a sudden I'm creating new pathways and I'm not, reactive, I'm not responsive. And all of a sudden it's like emotions come and I have that time. It's that slow motion time to just say, oh, okay, well, I'm embarrassed right now, or I'm ashamed, or I'm pissed off, whatever it is, you get to see that emotion and you process it. You bitches are keeping these emotions and you're holding them down and you're trying to, you know, just tuck them away as deep as you can. That's the shit that's making you sick. That's the stuff that's keeping you from feeling that joy and that peace. It's fucking you up. Absolutely antidepressants, I've used them. There was a point in my life where it was a necessity. I needed that But that's not a long-term answer because that shit is just numbing you. So you're still tucking away the emotions. You're still going to have a physically sick reaction to this. It messes with your body, your physiology, your mind, your heart. You're fucking up the communication in your brain. Your heart and your brain are not in coherence. Can you imagine what your body does for you every fucking day if it's not connected within itself? How do you function without being in that fight or flight response, you know? And it's possible to keep this stuff at bay. So when I start to have, that anxious thought again, because it's a natural response, okay? Like if I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to do a keynote, I'm going to be nervous, okay? I'm going to be scared. But instead of fighting that anxiety, I can just say this is fucking scary. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm still going to feel that, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to let the fear course through my body however it needs to, because you're not going to die. It's a feeling. That's it. You don't always have to believe what they say. You don't have to become that. It doesn't have to overwhelm you. And you don't have to run under the blanket and hide, which is, what I'm used to doing. So it has been a beautiful gift in bringing me into that present moment. We're anxious because we're worried about what's coming. And most of the shit that you're worried about isn't going to happen, right? That's how this works. We've taught ourselves to just worry about everything else because then we don't have to stay in that present moment and we don't have to call ourselves out on our bullshit. I mean, the truth is, anxiety is relentless and it sweeps through your entire body and it just leaves chaos in its wake. And it comes through in different ways from, nagging worry to paralyzing fear. This happens, but that present moment and microdosing has helped a lot with this. There are tools. We're going to talk about some tips here because if you're like, okay, look, I'm really not going to do the microdose thing, I respect that. Okay. I understand a lot of my clients were really scared at first. I even had one that has had the product for 3 months and just started. Like, I get it. I get it because if you already have anxiety and you're about to take something, and you know, I I'll share all the time. I don't like not feeling like me. I don't even like what alcohol does to me anymore. I don't like that feeling of like I'm just different. I can't smoke weed. I hate that feeling. So if you're someone who just doesn't take anything, that is me. That is me. I don't even take pain pills from the doctor, okay? Like I just am not, it's not me. Um so if that's a fear of just taking something, I assure you that we are the same and you're very safe. You're very safe. But it gets you to the power of now, okay? It's about embracing that concept of mindfulness. So it's where we release everything that we're carrying. And this has to be a very intentional act. Maybe you have to, take a couple days away from everything and just kind of journal about the shit that's been building up in you, journal about it, and then burn it. Some way of just absolutely releasing yourself from the hold of the past. And then you start to create a sense of peace when you work on being in the present moment. Um, and different ways that have helped me in between my microdosing segments. This is going to be like deep breathing. Okay. We take for granted how we breathe. We really do. And what your body needs a few times a day, you should be breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Really deep breathing to fill up your entire stomach cavity, okay? To breathe in deep and to breathe out. You can do box breathing. There's a lot of different ways you can breathe. You could Google it. Breath work is important. How we breathe matters. It should be in through your nose, out through your mouth, and be mindful about this. I take myself through this process a couple times a day, and I teach my kids like being a mouth breather is not healthy for your body. You're depriving yourself of oxygen that is needed. So it's important how you breathe, but that's a way that I can just kind of keep everything at bay and get into that present moment. Something I think is really great too is I do a lot of grounding. So every day I go out barefoot once a day. And just connect with the earth. I try to get in the dirt as much as you can. This winter, it was stepping into the snow, and which was just as good for me. But grounding, absolutely, there is scientific proof that it shifts stuff around in your body. You're getting a charge from the ground. Okay. and just being present in the awareness of like feeling connected, going outside of yourself, get into nature, look and see what's out there. Um, but I'm going to tell you guys, awesome fable that I read the other day. I'm going to share this with you guys. Okay. It's the fable of the anxious ant. So, this fable is going to illustrate the importance of being in the moment. Once upon a time, a bustling anthill nestled deep in the forest, there lived an ant named Anxious Andy. Andy spent his days consumed by worry, fretting about the endless tasks that lie ahead, and ruminating over past mishaps. His anxiety grew like a tangled vine, ensnaring him in its suffocating embrace. But one day, as Andy scurried about, lost in his anxious thoughts, he stumbled upon a wise old beetle meditating beneath a tranquil oak tree. Curious, Andy approached the beetle and asked, "How do you remain so serene amidst the chaos of life?" And the beetle smiled gently and replied, "Dear Andrew, the secret lies in embracing the present moment. For in this moment, there is no past to regret and no future to fear. Focus on the task at hand, savor the beauty of the world around you, and let go of everything else." Inspired by the beetle's words, Andy began to practice mindfulness, learning to savor each moment with gratitude and acceptance. With time, his anxiety loosened its grip and he discovered a newfound sense of peace and joy. I want you to be like Andy. And I get it, the future and our worry about it, sometimes it's unavoidable. And there's some instances, okay, very few, that sometimes it helps prepare for what's coming. But when we have allowed this to be a constant issue and we've allowed it to be an unchecked habit, it becomes our identity. So now we're miserable, absolutely miserable. Living in the moment just means that we have little concern about the future. We're just here. We are here. If you want to take your power back and have some peace and joy, it is about being in the moment. We have to stop trying to tell the future. And we have to understand, there is a consequence for worrying too much. So embrace the past. If you have to forgive yourself or someone else to do that, get there. And this is for you, not them. But you have to be very conscious when you're trying to hold yourself from worrying about what's happening tomorrow. The laundry's going to be there. That shit will be there. So it's about staying in that moment and being someone who can choose. You get to choose. You are a co-creator of your life. It's a skill. You can absolutely master the skill. We make every second count by embracing that present moment, by living in it. Life is what's happening right now. It's not that, big promotion you want. It's not that big paycheck. It's not the book signing deal I'm after. Life is happening now. It's everything that gets me there. That's the beauty in that. And if you're not enjoying that, if you're not enjoying life or embracing it, one day you wake up and it's just all gone. We are not here for a long time. We're here for a good time, right? And I don't mean that as like, let's go get fucked up. I mean that as in, let's be sober and present, stepping into the power and the potential of who we can be. You don't want to allow anxiety to hijack your rational thinking because you cannot think clearly and logically. And if you are a chronic overthinker, okay, if you are constantly catastrophizing an irrational fear, you're doing it wrong. You're losing your life, and your physical health is going to start manifesting that. So if you're struggling with those headaches or digestive issues or, heart issues, muscle tension, you're not feeling good. This is why. And if you're not sleeping, this is why, because then you're going to suddenly go through days, not just the wear and tear of what anxiety itself does. All of a sudden you have fatigue and irritability and you can't concentrate. And then your anxiety just gets worse. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. You're going to mess up relationships with people and you're going to miss those opportunities. The one that you think, that lucky person, that person's so lucky. No, bitch, they just stepped up to opportunity, which means they embraced their shit. They owned it and they learned to be in that present moment. Your quality of life what is that? What is that if you've given in to the anxiety? Because you have no joy. There's no spontaneity where anxiety and fear live. There is no fulfillment. You're never going to be engaged in what is happening in this life, and you're going to keep feeling empty. You're going to keep feeling, unsatisfied, and you're going to just become despair, ideally. So if you need the tool, absolutely step into the microdose. And if you don't, then I do recommend finding books and videos that are going to continue to help you explore what it is to be mindful, to just being in this present moment. That is the key to survival. That is the key to joy, to happiness, to peace. BrainandLynette.com. You guys can sign up and subscribe. I can talk. I know words. Make sure that you share this podcast with someone you know that could be struggling with anxiety, depression, all of the things that are getting them down, someone that you know is not present. And make sure you leave a review. Written review is worth a lot to me. Okay. This podcast is not monetized, which means it's free, but there's a price to pay, and that is share, subscribe, leave a review. And I know you're listening, you guys. I see the marks. So do not be afraid. I appreciate you. I can take it. Just an honest review, not just a quick star. Take, a minute out of your time. Okay. Because you're getting a wealth of information from me. I've poured my heart and soul into this. And that, or you guys can figure out my Cash App and buy me a cup of tea. That would be nice as well. I'm a matcha fan. And listen, bitch, you've got to dream big. Life is too short to play small. Embrace who God called you to be. Own your shit and be brave as you step into your full potential as a co-creator. Until next time, love yourself in the moment. Flawed, fantastic, and fucking beautiful. Brain and Lynette here, reminding you of your potential with a side of chaos. You're in the arena. Keep swinging.